I want you to know that failure can be your best friend. I mean, think about it. The greatest successes in the world are people who often had so much pain from a failure that it drove them to much greater success. Did you know those little 3M stickers, for example? Those ones that you see that you can put, I think they're called Post-it notes. You can write on them and put them on something and take it right off instantly. Do you know that was a result of a massive failure by the chemist? He was working at the time to create an adhesive that would last forever, something that you could never pry things apart with, and as a result, he came up with this stuff that didn't work at all. But he was smart enough to say, hey, what could I use this for? How could I use this supposed failure? And he turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. Enough to say, hey, what could I use this for? How could I use this supposed failure? And he turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. Lee Iacocca, most people would agree, is one of the more successful role models in our country. Now, I got a question for you. How come he's so successful? Because he's a wonder kid? Well, yeah, you could say that. He worked for a company called Ford Motor Company, and he worked his way through the ranks right up to the top, worked his tail off, was driven. What really marked him? His ability to get people to take action, his personal power. He developed skill because he was willing to try almost anything. He wouldn't accept no for an answer. But you know what? He had a little run-in with a guy by the name of Ford, and he fired him, and it burned him pretty good. Now, I got a question for you. Do you think when this company named Chrysler came by and they looked like for sure there was no way they could be turned around, do you think if he hadn't been fired by Ford that he would have taken it? You might say, oh, of course he would. That's the way Lee is. Well, I don't know. According to his wife, she said at the time, he said, honey, I don't think anybody could turn this thing around. She said, boy, well, I bet Mr. Ford will be real happy to hear that. That's all it took. He was so angry from the pain and failure of his past, quote-unquote failure, that he was going to show him that it wasn't his failure, that Mr. Ford made the mistake. And some people now begin to wonder if that's really possibly true. When I ask people throughout the country of one of the more successful companies, I get names like AT&T and Chrysler. And when I ask for top executives, Lee Iacocca is a name that almost always comes up. If that's really possibly true. When I ask people throughout the country of one of the more successful companies, I get names like AT&T and Chrysler. And when I ask for top executives, Lee Iacocca is a name that almost always comes up. Another company that's mentioned, IBM. It all started because a guy by the name of Tom Watson, who worked for a competing company called NCR, got fired by the CEO there also. He got so mad, he said, I'm going to develop a company that will dwarf yours someday. See, welcome frustration. I got to tell you, as you go through the next 30 days, you may have some points where you feel frustrated, where you feel upset, where you feel like, gosh, I don't know if it's worth taking all this effort. Commit and follow through. I got to tell you something. When I get frustrated, I've learned to get excited. I've learned to literally condition myself so that frustration creates excitement. You know why? Because when I'm frustrated, I know I'm about to have a breakthrough. It means my brain is searching. If I get confused about something, instead of going, I'll never learn this, my response to that is, hey, I'm about to learn something. Because my brain is searching for a new answer. And if it keeps searching, it's going to come up with one. I believe the emotions that many of us consider negative, like frustration and rejection and pain, can be our greatest friends because they can drive us to success. You know what? I think one of the things that happens for a lot of people when they get successful is they get superstitious. It's like they work so hard for the success and they now finally have it. So all of a sudden they don't change. They don't vary their behavior. They kind of like want to stay the way things are. They get incredibly conservative and they miss out on the juice of life. Stay out of the trap. Listen, when people succeed, they tend to party. When they fail, they tend to ponder. Now, the pondering, many times we create our greatest successes in life. And they miss out on the juice of life. Stay out of the trap. Listen, when people succeed, they tend to party. When they fail, they tend to ponder. Now, the pondering, many times we create our greatest successes in life. Greatest successes in life. Just remember, it's impossible to fail. If you try something and it doesn't work, just try something else and learn something from what you just did. As long as you learn something, you've succeeded. Something else I want to remind you of as well. And that is sometimes people say, well, gosh, I'm going to do these exercises. I know I'm going to be better physically and emotionally and psychologically, and I'll feel more confident, but I want to work on my career. I want to take my business next level. I want a business program. I want to tell you what, Personal Power is one of the most powerful business programs because it deals with the source of all your business, which is you. When you're in better shape, suddenly you negotiate more effectively. When you're in better shape, your creativity flows. When you're in better shape, you're a better manager of people. That's why if you saw the infomercial, which is how I assume you got to this program, then you saw people like, for example, Bill Farley of Farley Industries endorsing this program, saying it was one of the best business programs they ever went through.
Well, that's because Bill became a billionaire before the age of 40, all by using these personal power type of techniques. That's why he's such a big endorser. And for the last 10 years, I've consulted with him using these tools. And they've got 40,000 employees at Fruit of the Loom, which is one of his companies. So I want you to know this is very business-oriented. Or a Bill Nicholson. He's a turnaround expert for major corporations. In the early 80s, he took on a major corporation that was losing $1 million a day and turned it around so that within 4 years, it was doing more than $4 billion in revenue and the highest net returns of the history of the company. So I want you to know that these people endorse this because it works. So if you're a little bit skeptical, I understand that. But understand, changing yourself is the first place to changing your career and changing your business. It's the first place to making you a better leader. And those are the tools that are here. And you'll also find included in here some of the tools that I've modeled from General Schwarzkopf, for example. I've had the privilege now of being with Mr. Gorbachev. And as I pulled tools from them, I've included some of those tools in this program as well. Some are very simple. So what's my message here? My message is, let's you and I begin a journey now. A journey into personal power, where you're able to think of what you want, take action immediately, model the most successful people, notice whether it's working, and keep changing your approach until you succeed. With that kind of persistence, with that kind of commitment, nothing can stop you. I'm here to tell you from experience. My life now is so far beyond what my wildest dreams used to be. It's a joke. And the difference is not intelligence. It's not so much skill. It's a few distinctions and massive action and the ability to manage my emotions so I don't fear the failure anymore. I offer you the same opportunity. So commit for the next 30 days to at least do one tape a day. It's going to take you maybe 45 minutes and then maybe 15 minutes to do your exercise. But please, every single day. And by doing this consecutively, one day after another, you'll get the power of momentum working for you. And you'll begin to stack your successes one on top of another till they become habits. That's the whole purpose of this program. It's why I designed it this way, is so that you develop habits that in the future take you in the direction you want to go effortlessly. So it's critical to not miss a day. So how is it set up? You'll work Monday through Friday where you and I are communicating together. And then Saturday and Sunday, you can listen to your subliminals. And then Monday through Friday again, all the way through to the 30-day plan. If you'll do that each day and feed your brain and your emotions and your mind and allow yourself to be challenged, 30 days from now, you'll have a sense of power and pride that's beyond what you expect right now. And I imagine that you have high expectations. So let's get to it. After every one of these tapes, I'm going to give you an exercise so you actually use your personal power. You use something you've learned. And some of the exercises will be really simple. But remember, most people fail in life because they major in minor things. Most people don't realize that the things they're making as real big are unimportant. That success is simple, but it does require certain consistent things each day. So here's your assignment today, and I want you to take this assignment and please do it. But remember, most people fail in life because they major in minor things. Most people don't realize that the things they're making as real big are unimportant. That success is simple, but it does require certain consistent things each day. So here's your assignment today, and I want you to take this assignment and please do it. And I want you to take this assignment and please do it. Do it. You should have in front of you what we call a success journal. For most of my adult life, I've been keeping journals. That is, each day, and sometimes every other day and various times, writing down the things I've learned from books, from tapes, from going to seminars, so I could capture those things, because I found out long ago that if all you do is hear something, within 3 days, you'll forget 80% of it. That's why listening to something again and again is so useful. In addition, I found, though, that if you listen to something and you write down certain key elements of it, your memory retention will go up as much as 75 to 90%. Plus, I believe that if your life is worth living, it's worth recording. So I challenge you to really keep a journal. And we're going to have you do assignments in the journal, but you also, over these next 30 days, might write your thoughts about how you're doing each day and what you've learned, what you're excited about, what breakthroughs you're having. This is a way to record it. Otherwise, it's like your children. I know that many times people come by and say, gosh, your son has really grown. And I'm around him so much that I don't see it as much as other people do. But I take a look, I go, I guess you're right. By having journals, I can see how much I've grown, and you will be able to see how much you've grown. I can go back years ago and see what my goals were and the kinds of things I was remembering. And I also have just gems of material from people who shared with me what made the difference for their success. And I can read it again and begin to apply it. So please keep this success journal for yourself. Utilize it in any way you want. But here's how I want you to start with it. Right now, as this tape ends, I want you to do your first assignment. Really simple. Remember I told you,
The way to build a muscle so that you're really strong is start small and build. So we're going to start with something really simple. I want you to think of 2 actions you've been putting off. 2 things that you should do, 2 things that you need to do, but you keep putting it off. Maybe it's a phone call or 2. Maybe it's somebody you've had some poor communication with and you need to clean it up, but you're not doing it. Maybe it's just going in the house and cleaning it up right now. Maybe it's some kind of report you need to do. I don't know what it is, but right now I want you to think of what are 2 actions you've been putting off that if you were to take them now, it would increase the quality of your life. Either simply would just increase the quality of your self-esteem because you feel good because you actually followed through, or maybe even more powerfully. Maybe it's just going in the house and cleaning it up right now. Maybe it's some kind of report you need to do. I don't know what it is, but right now I want you to think of what are 2 actions you've been putting off that if you were to take them now, it would increase the quality of your life. Either simply would just increase the quality of your self-esteem because you feel good because you actually followed through, or maybe even more powerfully because you actually followed through, or maybe even more powerfully. What are 2 decisions or 2 actions you could take right now that would immediately change the quality of your life? Maybe it's to stop smoking. Maybe it's to eliminate certain kinds of food. But if you were going to do something right now that was going to change your life, what are those 2 actions? And what I want you to do is decide. Remember, to decide means to cut off any other possibility, to resolve once and for all, this is it. There's tremendous power in that. Start with something small if you want, and then build. But right now, write down 2 decisions you've made, and then take action on them immediately. I mean, right now. I mean, even before I finish talking here, stop the tape, pick up the phone, and make that call you've been waiting for. Do not put it off another minute. If in your car, pick up your car phone. I don't care what it takes. There's power and momentum. I'm a big believer that once you set a goal, once you make a decision, you should immediately, in that moment, do something to start making progress towards it. That way you can't cop out later on or get caught up or lose your momentum. So please do it now. And I know not all things can be done right now, so maybe it's something you have to do tomorrow morning. But whatever you're going to do, make the decision and then commit to follow through and then check in tomorrow, because this is the first step to grabbing your personal power. And remember, there's no way to fail. You might say, well, gosh, what if I do this and it doesn't work? What if I try this and it doesn't happen? Hey, what if I screw up? Then screw up big. Go for it. Do a big screw up, because then you'll learn something. Hey, remember, success in life is the result of good judgment. Good judgment is usually the result of experience. Experience is usually the result of bad judgment. So if you got some bad judgment and it doesn't work out, you'll learn something and it'll make you more successful in the future. Just go for it. Don't be afraid. Make it happen. And you may say, well, it's such a little thing to do. I'll do it later. If it's little, then do it now. Don't put it off, okay? I'm on your side. Hey, what I'm trying to be here for you is a good coach. You know, I don't care how successful you are. We all need a coach. I have lots of coaches around me. Left by ourselves, we kind of drift sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. Hey, think about it. Gravity is automatic. You don't have to work on gravity. But if you want to succeed, you got to exert your will and take action against gravity. In the absence of light, there is darkness. So what I'm trying to be is a good coach who comes by and hands you the match that's already in your hand and says, strike this thing. Take action now. That's the power of this. So follow through on your exercise. Open right now your success journal. Write down 2 decisions you're going to make, 2 new actions you're going to take that'll change your life. And then tomorrow, we'll get together again for 30 minutes. And during those 30 minutes, I'm going to show you what is the controlling force in your whole life, how to absolutely understand what makes you do what you do, and how to change it. Till then, follow through. Live today with passion. I'll see you tomorrow. Controlling force in your whole life, how to absolutely understand what makes you do what you do, and how to change it. Till then, follow through. Live today with passion. I'll see you tomorrow.